Annyeonghaseyo, welcome to Afternoona Delight, where Leah, Megan, and Amy, three American romance novelists discussing all things K-romance from a writer's lens. We fangirl over our favorite actors and actresses, talk up our trope addictions, and nerd out on K-drama deep dives. We'll throw in a few K-pop and K-skincare recs for good measure, because why not ride the Hallyu wave all the way to shore? So grab some tteokbokki and listen to your new favorite unnies.
Hey, everybody.
Hello.
Hi.
All right. Well, this is really exciting because I have Alison here today. Because we were going to talk about some more Thai BL, but I wouldn't say we've hooked anyone because this person has been a fan of Thai BL, but we have a new person joining us today to kind of gush over a drama. So why don't you introduce yourself, special guest?
Hi, it's Megan. Woohoo!
Yay!
I'm so excited.
So we have not yet succeeded in getting Amy to watch a single BL.
She watched Color Rush.
Oh, she did. And she
liked it.
And she watched Semantic Error.
And she went to and she watched Semantic Error.
Never mind. Okay, Amy, I apologize.
Yeah.
You have dabbled, but when I was telling her last night about like this being a new obsession, this is the thing about Amy, because Amy also likes BTS now. Mm-hmm. But Amy likes things like a normal amount, I would say. Like I would even say she might like things like a healthy amount.
Correct. Leah and I go full in obsession. It's like it consumes our lives. It's like a sickness.
Yes. I don't want to like things actually in moderation.
I know. It's exhausting to like things like this, though. It's exhausting to be like this.
It is. So, Alison, where do you fall out? Are you team moderation, or are you team like you're just gonna like get into like the mud pit and roll around?
I am all in, like up till the wee hours of the morning. Like I have worn out CDs before listening to them so much because I'm like, this is all I need, so very much all in obsessive for a while. And then my loves change. So I have, periods of my life where different all in things, but yeah, so team all in.
Okay, great. Well, I think that's what's brought us here together today is this. And if you are team moderation or team all in, I feel like this is still the podcast for you. And so just to set the scene with what we're going to be talking about today, we are going to be talking about Off Gun, which you might be like, I don't understand even what you're talking about. What is an off and what's a gun and why is this a thing? So Off Gun, Alison, because they are it's not a what, who are Off Gun?
Off Gun are two Thai actors who have been in this industry for a long time. They act for GMMTV. They've been in a few dramas together, both like partnered romantically, and then in the past year, they've had other dramas where they were lead actors, but weren't in the same project. They are older compared to some of the Thai actors that we watch. So Gun is 29. If you're height obsessed like me, you have to know the height of all the actors. He's 5'6". Off is 32. He just had a birthday in January, and he's 5'10". So Gun started in the entertainment industry pretty young. He always wanted to be an actor, and so his mom supported that. So he kind of went that trajectory as he was growing up. Off was going to school and was discovered at university. Basically, like somebody saw him and was like, hey, do you want to be an MC or a host? And that's where he started his acting career. They first acted together in 2016, at least according to Google. And they have their own like fan base. They're called Babies or Bobbies. And they have their own light stick, which is in the shape of a tippy cup. So maybe not my favorite light stick ever, but that's okay.
I did not know they had a light stick. This is brand new information to me.
Yeah,
And
a
Wait,
lot of the,
wait, I want a Kin Porsche light stick. Where can I get a Kin Porsche light stick?
I can't remember if Kim Porsche has one, but there are quite a few like Thai BL ships. You can Google them. GMMTV has, I think Bright Wind have a light stick. There's
Oh,
quite
I
a
love
few
Bright
like,
Wind. I do love Bright Wind.
yeah. So you can get their light stick, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's
just-
off and gun.
So a question, Allison, because you're kind of, and Megan, I'm not trying to like, like diminish you here because I know
You
you
go.
know a lot about TIBL, but I feel like Allison really has like, out of this group, probably done the graduate work here. It's pretty common seeming that unlike K-drama, where we may get like a couple who does a couple of shows together, here it seems like they kind of really do like put folks together and really like while they may do some of their own projects, they really do start to do a lot them like enough that they're warranting a light stick and a fan base about them.
Right. Yeah, there's couples that have, done a couple shows like Mew and Golf. They did a couple and then they're not acting together anymore. So there's some that stick around and some that don't, is the sense that I have. And if you watched a couple episodes of Tale of a Thousand Stars, right, with Earth and Mix.
I watched the whole thing.
Yeah, you watched it because I
yeah.
remember you talking about it.
I loved it.
But I don't think Leah ever finished it. But like Earth is in Theory of Love with a different actor like pairing. So it feels like they sort of like bop around until they find their pair, and then they're like, oh, look at the chemistry here. We're going to cultivate that and let them act in a few more. So some maybe just longevity in the field or with the company, they may get different acting partners until they find one that they really like the chemistry of, and then they'll pair them more frequently. So
I love that. It's like they know what you want, so they're just going to keep giving it to you. Like I think it's smart.
I said it's good fan service business.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because the shipping culture is very unique in Thailand. And so their business, like their acting extends off of the series into like the fan meets and into the stuff, the public performances they do. So they're taking those characters outside of the screen. So then it makes sense that they like maintain that relationship because they put so much time and energy into it.
Yeah, well, I see like their advertisements are together. So like the same product that they're advertising in the drama, then they're advertising that on like, I don't know, billboards in Thailand, commercials, like they extend it out in a way that we don't see like in Western media. It just isn't the same.
Yeah. Yeah. So did that answer your question?
Yeah, I think that was a good grounding, especially because I just want to like I have a goal with this. And part of this is that, I do feel like some of the folks who are going to be listening to this are like, I'm already in, like, I've already drunk the Kool-Aid. I already know more about this than you. I'm just someone is talking about it and I can hear. And in that case, like, yes, yay. Like I'm on like your wagon. We can like all be in this like fan space together. And it's like, a little segue, but a long time ago, I was invited to someone's house for what I thought was going to be like somebody wanting to make friends with me and having me over for coffee. And while I was there, the person began to talk in this very strangely robotic voice, almost like a script, and started being like, if you found a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, wouldn't you want your friends and family to know about it?
No, Leah.
It was like MLMing me into this life. And I had no idea what was happening. And I was like, this doesn't feel good. I need to take a shower. I don't want to do this. And so look, I don't want to put anyone in that position. But what I'm trying to say is if you found a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, you really do want your friends and family to know about it.
Right.
I feel like Top Gun are just one of these little pots of gold that I want our listeners to know about.
Yeah. Yeah. They have such amazing chemistry and they have been together for a long time, like acting, and they are just magical. So
yes. And like shipping stuff aside, you can just tell that they have a lot of respect for each other. They have like a love for each other and they can act their asses off, truly. And so today, I think what we want to do is talk about two dramas that they're in. They have been in, you know, a range of things. They started out kind of as like side couples, and now they're kind of more like the main couples and whatever. But Alison, you had encouraged me to watch Theory of Love, which I did with you. Megan hasn't seen that. And then we watched Not Me, which I got Megan to watch, and we were completely obsessed over. So let's just quickly talk maybe a bit about Theory of Love, because that was my gateway. And then we'll move over to Not Me, which Megan saw too and just finished yesterday, so that we can kind of like freak out about why we think this is a quality drama.
Yeah, that sounds good. So I love Theory of Love more than anything, probably. It's one of the few shows that I don't actually change the name to, because it already came like perfectly named. Like, then it's just so much angst, which, you know, if you've heard me talk about BLs, I'm here for the angst every time. And it's their chemistry at its best. And I think it's fun to see where they started ish, because they had done other ones when they were acting together. And where they are with Not Me. Like, I liked seeing those two sort of next to each other, so you can see how much they've grown as well.
Yeah, so I will. Okay, so Megan, just to like set the stage, because I think this is kind of good. We can kind of like woman-splain this to you, and you can be the proxy for listeners. Is Theory of Love is college set. So, you know, it's one of these, you know, although we don't have an engineering student here. This is an arts. They're doing arts. They're doing filmmaking. And so it's 4 friends studying film, and there's Kai, who is played by Off. Then there is Third, who is played by Gunn. And then we also have Two and Bone as the side characters, who I apologize, I can't think of like who those actors' names are. But unbeknownst to anyone, Third has been in deep, painful, long-suffering love for Kai for years. And Kai has no idea, and he's just a total fuck boy. He's just like banging his way through the ladies in the university, just one by one by one by one, and slowly killing Third, who is a fragile flower, and he's a screenwriter. He's the writer. So that's basically the drama, like without a lot of spoilers.
I just want to say I did watch a few clips today of Theory of Love because I was like curious. I wasn't going to start the whole thing. But I watched a couple clips, and it was really cute to see Third as like this like love struck dude, and then to see Kai, like, again, I saw Off in Not Me, where he's like this like brooding, damaged guy. So it's really kind of cute to see him like super charming and outgoing and smiley.
Yeah, he's not angsty at all.
No, he's great.
He's just loving life and getting it every which way it could have to be got, until he realizes that, you know,
he's just banging around campus
until he starts to catch feels for his friends. So something I really liked about, so I did not like Theory of Love as much as you, Megan, or Allison, and I think it's because I really do like push pull. I think it could have just been more condensed. I think the push pull just went for so long. I would have liked it to have less episodes so that it felt more intense. I don't want to get to the point ever in push pull where I'm like, come on, just like fucking finish. And so I think that's my problem. I wish I could have knocked like 4 episodes off just so there was like a heightened, because I like it. I just think for me, that kind of dynamic went on too long, because we have like one person longing, and then eventually like we have like the feelings be found out, and then it kind of flips on its head, so that then like the person who's been longed for has to like make it right and give the chase and make it work out, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's valid. It helps because in my rewatchings, I just skip all the side story and just watch them. So it goes really fast because I can skip whole chunks of episodes. And I love it. I'm such a sucker for that. So,
and look, I think that is a good way to say handle it. Like, I think I would rewatch if I just skipped everything but them. So yeah, I like it. I would say for me though, not my all-time favorite, probably not even like in my top favorites. but I loved them. And so even when I finished, I was like, man, like that wasn't my favorite, but I loved them so much. I am all on like going for the next drama.
Yeah. So I know we're going to get to not me, but I have to ask, how do you think they handled Kai's like reckoning and him coming to terms with his feelings for Third and ultimately making him worthy of Third?
Yeah, so this is funny because as it started, like it gets protracted. Like Kai is dumb for a long time. And I was like, Alison, I don't know how I can like get on board with this because it's just getting to where like I feel like we're all sympathetic to Gunn, who's just a fool in love and is so like sad and like turmoiled and just trying his best to hang in there with this like hopeless love. And I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna kind of like get over this and accept Kai, the character that Off plays, as like worthy of this because he's just such a dumb fuckboy. I don't know how I can like reconcile this. So kudos, I will say, even if this isn't my favorite drama, I think they did a good job in showing the evolution. And without like a lot of spoilers, Kai's first instinct, he makes some bad choices when he realizes his best friend's in love with him. But they don't come from a gay panic standpoint. They come for me more from, I don't have the communication and maturity skills to talk this out with my friend. So I need to make my friend not love me. And so how I will do this is by not acting my best self. Therefore, my friend will no longer want to like be in love with me. It's essentially, would you say that's his decision making?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that became, and weirdly, even though that's like his worst time as a character, that's when I started to like him. Because I was confused by what he was doing, but later we find out like the method to his madness of what he was doing. And I actually appreciated that because it fits the age. Here's the thing is Type Yell is almost always, Megan, I know this isn't your favorite, but it's almost always college set, which means it's almost always the coming of age type of thing where we're in this new adult space where they're not children anymore. They're kind of living on their own in like a dormitory or like their first apartments with people. They're figuring out things for the first time. And so I have a lot more patience for making kind of dumbass boneheaded decisions when you're 18 to 24 because I don't have that experience to like, you know, I don't want to see like a 39-year-old dude doing that, but like a college student, sure. Like if he's like, my best friend's in love with me, I don't know what to do, so I'm just going to make sure that like he doesn't love me anymore. Like I'm like,
right.
That justifies.
Yeah. Well, and for him, and again, sorry if we're spoiling, but like he genuinely loved Third as a friend. Like it was his best friend. And so he was trying to figure out like I need to keep him in my life, but I don't know, like I don't want to hurt him anymore. And he was just all up in his feels and it was a whole mess.
And then he starts to realize, because it's a romance, that once his bestie kind of takes 5 steps back to be like, well, what are these feelings I'm having? Because now I'm missing them and I'm not missing them like I would miss a friend. Bum, bum, bum. Now I have to like fight for my way and fight for my man. But this man has now been like so heartbroken and like sad and doesn't know what to do that he's kind of like not going to jump all back in on it. Like he's going to play the not even hard to get, just like he's like, he made an emotionally healthy decision to walk away. And so to win that heart back takes a lot of effort.
Yeah. Yeah. He had to rebuild a lot of trust from that one. Ooh, so good.
Yeah. So look, it is lovely to watch. I do think that, but yeah, for me, it just felt like that road back felt like it took just a tiny bit too long for me, like maybe an episode or two too long. And maybe the road to like them like stop being best friends for a while also took maybe like an episode. So like if it were up to me, I would have probably taken like 3 episodes out just to keep like the pacing going, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But we can agree or disagree on that. Like overall, it's adorable and Off Gun is amazing.
Yeah.
And I will say, like your question, I started off all Gun. Like I was like, Gun is like amazing. And I was like, Off's fine. But like he didn't have a lot to do at the beginning. He's just like a fuck boy. But I was like, Gun, like you're just seeing him go through like this huge, rich range of emotions. And I was like, I'm just Gun all the way. Like Gun's amazing. Like Off's fine. And then like I was like, I would die for Off. And like I'm still there to this day. I was like, he just like all of this once you start to peel away his layers, he does it so well. I was like, he is brilliant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's so good. They're both so good.
They're both
I
so
love
good.
them.
They're both so good.
Yeah.
It's just that like I realized that Off took me by surprise just because like Gun kind of had a lot to do right away. And then once Off kind of like was kind of required to start showing some acting chops, I was like, holy shit, I did not realize that this was all coming.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I followed them for a long time since I started watching BL. And they both had, like, in their personal life, whatever, professional life, they both had an amazing glow up this summer. I don't know what was going on for them in Thailand, but they both look amazing right now. So 32 is looking very good on Off. Gun is always beautiful. So yeah, go check out their Instagrams. It's great.
I have begun an Instagram friendship with both of them. Okay, so I guess this leads into Not Me. And where this first began was we had a listener after after Big Dragon, which when we talked about Big Dragon recently, we had a really thoughtful listener write us and basically be like, I am going to make the case of dramas I think you need to watch. And some of them Alison had already seen because Alison's like far deeper down this rabbit hole than me, but I had not. And one of them that caught my eye was Not Me, which she comped to like a less grittier version of Kin Porsche, but said there were some parallels, which I do agree. It's a totally different story, but there is some parallels that you could make. And Alison was basically like, we've done Theory of Love, like we need to continue the Off-Gun journey. So like as she said that, and I got this email where I was like, you've kind of caught my eye with the sales pitch. I was like, let's pull the trigger and do it. I was excited going in, but I did not expect this drama to own my whole ass like it has. So Megan, let's hear from you, just because this is like we haven't heard from you at all. What, like a question if you were listening at home is what would be like, how do you feel the Kim Porsche comp works? And if somebody hasn't watched anything, like where would you kind of comp it to K-drama in general?
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's kind of like a young Kim Porsche. Like these guys are much younger, they're less jaded, and they're more like idealistic. It's like if Kin Porsche were like vigilantes, because they're not. Kin Porsche are like criminals. So I would say that, but it was very similar vibe, meaning like everyone's always sweaty, everyone's always dirty, everyone's bloody, like all the time. Something's always happening. Like there weren't a lot of downtimes in the plot. I mean, as far as like a K-drama comp, I don't know. That's hard because it's so gritty, you know?
Almost like a Not Me, but not. Or not
Yeah.
me, not me.
Yeah, I was like, what?
My Name.
Yeah, I mean, again, like a
With
younger My Name.
With the fighting.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. It definitely felt younger in their characters. I mean, these characters are like, I would say almost like grad school age. Or what I don't know what the equivalent of that is in Thailand, but yeah, and so they're like, a lot of them are still really like idealistic because the main part of the plot is they're like essentially trying to change their society. They want to lessen the gap between the have and have nots to like very much summarize it and simplify it. That's basically what they want to do.
So before we hear from Alison, because Alison, I've got some questions for you. Why don't I just quickly read the plot summary on my drama list, because it's only like a paragraph and a half. And I feel like it sums up a lot of what I'd like us to talk about.
Yeah.
So this is coming straight from my drama list. Black and White are twins with a powerful connection. After their parents' separation, though, White's father took him abroad and their family is severed in two. It isn't until 15 years have passed that White, now grown, returns to Thailand. One day, seemingly from nowhere, White feels an agony like death. He recovers in the hospital, but they're unable to determine the cause. Then he picks up a call from a childhood friend, Todd. Todd tells him that Black is in a coma following a vicious attack, and he learns that Black is in some sort of a motorcycle gang. Unable to endure the harm done to his brother in silence, and suspecting that it was one of Black's close friends, Sean, Graham, or Yok, who betrayed him, White disguises himself as Black to root out the traitor. White doesn't know his brother as well as he thought, and he's not behaving like the Black Sean knows, distrustful and uncaring about the feelings of others. Sean's suspicious. The difference gets under Sean's skin and makes him feel things he shouldn't. ...
Yeah, that sums it up. I mean, that's what I read before I decided to watch it. And all of that, I was like, I'm down. That's great. There's like this like gang. There's this like secret identity, twin stuff. I'm gonna watch it. That's my jam.
So, Alison, what brought you into Not Me?
I had watched like a bunch of other GMMTV dramas on YouTube, and I think I had like Bad Buddies. Is that the name of it? Like whatever that one is, had just finished. And so GMMTV does like weeklies, and so that was just like the Sunday slot, and I was like, okay, I guess this is what I'm watching on Sunday morning for the next 14 weeks. So I had just watched it from the other GMMTV stuff that was on.
And so,
and I think
clear, so YouTube is where you can watch this, and so you just go on to GMTV on YouTube, and they're kind of organized a little bit differently in that it's like episode 1 part 1, episode 1 part 2, episode 1 part 3, and so each episode is like a solo episode, but you have to watch it in 4 parts.
Yeah, it's so confusing. And what makes it even more complicated for Not Me is for some reason GMMTV hasn't like clumped theirs into a playlist, so you can find like the whatever like 40 segment playlist that somebody else has made, but GMMTV didn't make one for Not Me, but they've made them for, like, I'm watching a drama called The Warp Effect right now, and I can go to GMMTV and they'll have all of the Warp Effect episodes in a playlist, and I can just watch them, but not for Not Me. It's very weird. Yeah. But so yeah, watch all 4.
Yes, and you might have to stop and be like, Not Me, okay, I'm on episode 5. I have to Google episode 5 to like find it and keep going.
Yeah. It's very complicated, but that's okay. Because it's actually nice because there's so much GMMTV content on YouTube that you can watch a lot of BL for a long time for free.
Yeah. So, okay. What are the tropes, Megan, would you say that Not Me leans into?
Oh my God. Forced proximity. I would say like opposites attract. Because once you get White, so Black is kind of like, if you're gonna boil it down, Black's kind of like the mean twin, and he's like the evil twin. He's not evil though, and White's kind of like this like good twin, and what?
The goody two shoes.
Yeah, the goody two shoes. So him and Sean are very like opposites attract. You have like the whole secret identity. So you have like fish out of water, because you have White like thrown into this like vigilante gang. And he has no idea what to do. They're like parkouring and using guns, and he has no idea what he's doing. And
enemies to lovers.
Yeah, that's true. Enemies to lovers, because what's interesting is like Sean hates Black. Sean and Black fight all the time. So when White comes on the scene, he doesn't like get it. And then he's white, and he's like, meaning he like his character White, he's like a nice guy, and he's like sweet, and like inside he just wants to like protect people. He doesn't want anyone to get hurt. And so Sean is like, what the hell is up with you? Like, why are you being nice? Like, why do you care about my life? Like, what, since when did you care about my life? Because previously Black had like left Sean to like get in trouble because Black didn't care. And yeah, so it's like it's so interesting. I just think the plot premise was really, really interesting. And as a writer, that was inspiring to me.
Mm-hmm.
And Alison, where do you fall on kind of like secret identities in romances? Because this is a secret identity romance.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It really worked for this one, for those reasons you were talking about, Megan, of like how Sean like has different feelings for White. Like it's so like seeing how other people respond to the secret identity person was really well done in this one. I think it worked. And I like how they handled the I'm not my brother. Like in their scene when they're in the tent, he's like, if I'm not Black, like, is that okay? Or whatever he says. Like he talks about it. He can't say it out loud that he's White and not his brother Black, but he addresses it a little bit, like dips his toe into it, and then they have a bigger conversation about it later. So it comes out. And Sean knew the whole time, he just didn't know how to put words to it.
Yeah, I mean, normally I really do not like secret identities. Like that drives me nuts. I am like, oh my God, because you're like deceiving someone. But in this way, for some reason this worked. Like I'm still trying to decide in my head why this one worked for me. And I think it's because he never set out to deceive people who he thought were good. Like he thought these people might have hurt his brother. So he's like, I don't necessarily care about deceiving them. And it wasn't until he was like, oh shit, like they didn't do it. And I don't know. There was just something about the way this one was done that the secret identity didn't bother me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it didn't bother me because you could tell Sean knew, and like in his heart of hearts. So
yeah, what can we talk about the trust fall? I'm sorry, I got to talk about this. Can we talk about the trust fall now?
Yeah, absolutely, go for it.
So there's this part where White wants Sean to trust him because that's how he's going to kind of like get to what happened to Black. Like he needs the trust of this like gang. And so he like stands up on his bed and he falls back and Sean's like, what the hell? And so Sean catches him. He's like, what did you do? And White's like, oh, well, it's a trust fall. And so now, like, I trust you. Like I trusted you to catch me and you did. And that was like a pivotal moment, I think, for Sean. And later Sean does the same thing back to White, where he like leans back to fall off a building. White catches him and Sean's like, okay, cool. Like this is trust. And at one point, you know, Black, he was in a coma, he's beaten up. Black wakes up and he comes and he's like such a dick to Sean. I mean, we can get into that, but and Sean like knows, he's like, you are not my Black, like what, you are not who I know you to be. And so he gets up on like a platform and he falls back and Black just like watches him fall on his ass and he's like, what the hell's wrong with you? And that's like when it clicked for Sean. He's like, you're not who I love. Like there's something going on. Do you have a sibling? Because that's not it. And I always love when there's some sort of thread like that that's woven throughout a drama. And also I always love when there's some sort of like, you know, secret code between characters. And that's the way that felt. It just felt like a way for them to understand each other. And yeah, I loved it. It was so romantic to me, you know, in a way that I wouldn't expect like a trust fall to be romantic.
They played it well. And what was sweet is I like it when you get something that like kind of continues as just kind of like the conceit throughout the drama. Like, so we see the trust fall not once, but it kind of just comes up.
Yes.
So it really just drives it home. And yeah, I felt like that was a lovely one. So I have another question. And that is around just kind of like there's a lot of like political critique to Not Me that I found was interesting. And so I'm not asking for any of us to dive in and speak from a point of authority of, the politics in Thailand or anything like that. But I just wanted to just say, like, how did it feel to you as a viewer to watch kind of this like more overt social, like I would almost say this was like a woke BL. Like it was very much like looking at it from the point of view of, how is power structured in the society, who has power, what nefarious things do they need to do to keep power, and then how do like the people unite together to make social change.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I just found it interesting because I don't feel like I've seen a lot of like critique on that level in watching any other, certainly no other Thai BL really.
I don't know if it's GMMTV, which is they're one of the bigger production companies, and they are doing a lot of like that sort of thought and like representation in their dramas. And it's fascinating to me because it feels like they're very commercial just looking at them and the other like production companies. So I liked how they wove it in and made it a part of the story. But it didn't feel like it was taking away from it. Like it felt like it made the couple make more sense along the way as they were throwing in this political discussion.
Yeah, and really also we also have social economic realities coming to play within the couple, where we have one of the, Off's character coming from very low means, and really kind of like the fight in his belly has been like stoked just by like experiencing these injustices. And then we have White's been an expat. He's been living in Russia for a long time, and his dad's a powerful diplomat, and we see him being like groomed to follow that same path, where he is skilled and bright in his own right, but even if he wasn't, like, this path was still going to be open for him. And kind of having to like reconcile with his own privilege essentially.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously I liked it. I would say there were some discussions that I felt they're just like a little too in your face. I don't know how to explain it. Like they like had to explain to the viewer, like, okay, we're gonna use this classroom setting to explain the laws, and I was like, okay, and it started out really great. Like I really loved the whole like that White starting to like see that he's like getting these opportunities just because of who his dad is, and it's unfair. And I did like that. There was a lot of the external plot that didn't make sense. Like a lot of like the things they did that I was like, like that's the only issue I have. And it's not an issue. I don't care. I still thoroughly enjoy the drama. It doesn't matter. I would just say that some of it just fell a little flat. It just needed a little bit better writing, because I just felt like they knew what they wanted the characters to do, but they weren't quite sure how to make the external plot like fit into that. So they kind of like did a bunch of random stuff, and they're like, yeah, it should make sense. I mean, like the whole Todd villain storyline was like very weird. Like first of all, I do want to say I called Todd as the villain from like Jump. Like I knew he was shady from Jump. And I didn't know how it was going to play out. But then when they like was explained, I'm like, Todd, what was your plan? That was a terrible plan. Like you knew, and this is the whole thing was. So that's like my only thing is I liked it, and I was really happy to see like the protests and everything. I just wish it made maybe a little bit more sense,
Like here's what I would say from a writer perspective is, because I often will give a wag of the finger and quibble on things. I don't care in this. I literally.
Well, I know that's the thing. I don't really care.
There are things. There are characters that come and have big importance at the beginning, like White and Black's father at the beginning. Yeah. It's like in a lot of the very opening parts of it, and factors in heavily. And then we're like, bye. We never need to see you again. That's fine. But here's the thing: it's like, in a really good romance, I mean, like ideally the best of stories are going to have both arcs completely unpack themselves and work together in this like magical way. But if I have to pick, I need the emotional arc to come together more than I need like the external conflict to come together. So in the end, I was like, external conflict, I'm going to just narrow it down to bad people are bad. People hold power in dodgy ways. Fight the system.
Yeah.
Let's get back to trust falls and making out.
Right. And that's the thing. I totally agree with you. I just really feel like I needed to like say, like, look, there's going to be some weird sketchy shit going on in the background, but you're not going to care. You are not going to care because Sean and White are amazing. And then there is you get 3 romances in this. Because you get Sean and White, you get York and his like cop
Dan
guy, and then you get a hetero romance, which I loved. Graham is
Eugene.
Graham is something else. He is so good looking. And then I looked him up and he's young. Of course, he's 24. God damn it. But yeah, I like that.
So go ahead, Alison.
This is the only, because I have rewatched this one a couple of times, and I can honestly say this is the only Thai BL I don't fast forward through anything when I do a rewatch. I watch every episode start to finish through it because I love all of the side characters, and as much as I love Gun, like Yoke and Dan, I love them so much, so much.
So that brings me to a question then, and this could be a little debate. So, Alison, you are saying Yoke and Dan worked for you.
Yeah.
Megan, different.
No, I liked Yoke.
For you to unpack this conversation.
I just thought Dan was whiny and cried a lot. And I was like, oh my God, like, dude, buddy, like, buck up. Like, he drove me nuts. I'm sorry. I liked it when he was like, I talked to Leah about this. I liked it when he was like the mystery. So he's a cop, okay, but he also believes in this like fight for change. And how he fights is he's like a secret graffiti artist, okay? And Yalk, I think, is like he draws too or whatever.
He's a fine arts
department.
Fine arts, yeah. And so I thought that whole, I don't know, I didn't really care. I feel so bad, but I was just like there's like this big emotional scene in a hospital, and I was like fast forwarding. I was like, let me just get to like where Black is, like what is happening. You know, I don't know. I think my problem was I didn't like, I thought the actor who played Dan, I don't know. Let's say, I'm not going to blame the actor because I think it was like his character I just was not into, but then I also don't know if it was like kind of bad acting. But yeah, it just wasn't my thing. But it's okay because they all had a part to play. I didn't feel it.
Okay, so Megan is, I didn't fucking feel it.
Yeah, I didn't fucking feel it.
So Alison.
But that's okay. Like
okay.
It still didn't like affect my enjoyment of the drama. Like the drama was still freaking great.
Okay, Alison, fall out.
They're not like the best side couple of all time ever, but I really like First, the actor that plays Yoke. And I love anything art. Like it's just, if there's art somewhere in the drama, I'm like, okay, great. Like I'm all in for the artist. Like, so I'm already a little biased towards that. I liked the moment where he like arrests him. I liked that like pain, and I liked him like having that breakdown of like, I thought that I could trust you. I like the angst. And I think that they're like coming back together at the end was really a beautiful moment where Yock got to punch him in the face. And I was like, great. Yep. Now you're good. You punched him. So their couple just worked for me. So Leah, where do you fall?
I'm going to say I fall more on your side than Megan. So overall, I was more intrigued with Dan's character when he was like the mystery character. So they're, like, but I mean, they have like the Titanic paint scene moment essentially where like Dan has to like get nude and get painted, and it feels very Titanic.
And then he starts crying.
Yeah. And
look,
then
I don't mind men crying. Okay, let me just say this. I had this like really bad boyfriend in high school, and he used to cry on every date, and I didn't understand. And it was like he would like I think he was on drugs, and I don't know. I think there was like
a turn I was not expecting.
There was like some weird stuff going on, and I was like 16, so I didn't know. But anyway, and he would cry like every date, and it like I think I'm like scarred by it, where I'm like, so I see this like man who just like starts like crying really hard, and I'm like, oh God, like, is he okay? I feel like maybe I don't like treat men's emotions properly. But in honesty, he was crying a lot, and I also didn't know why. Like and that didn't feel genuine.
See, I didn't mind his tears. His tears
yeah,
made
you
me
find
cry.
out later.
Yeah, I liked his tears.
Yeah.
Here's my quibble, and this is what I feel bad about.
Oh, I know what you're gonna say.
I have one quibble with this relationship, and I feel like a huge asshole saying it because I actually loved the character of Yok, and I love the actor who plays him. However, in their big like kiss scene, I feel like Yok kissed like an urchin eats food under the ocean. Like turning himself inside out to get it in a way that didn't feel like it took me out, because I was like, wait, what exactly? Like, I have not seen mouths. Like, this is not like, it reminded me, my first kiss happened, maybe it just triggered my trauma of my first.
I feel like Dan like triggered my trauma.
So Yok's kissing. I was a freshman in high school. I was desperate to be kissed. I had my first boyfriend. I was sitting in his parents' basement, and we were watching Young Guns 2. And he went for it. And I remember I was on my back on the couch, and there was so much spit going into my ears that like the back of my head was wet when I went home. Like
so
there was
gross.
Saliva pouring down the sides of my cheek into my ears, and then my hair was wet. And I remember thinking, this is not how I thought kissing was gonna be.
Right.
Oh no.
So watching Yok, I was like, I'm flashbacking. And like Yok is standing up. There isn't drool just pouring over. But if Yok had him on his back on a couch watching Young Guns 2, that would have happened.
And I also sort of feel like every single time they kissed, poor Dan was like crying about something. So it just felt like Yok was like taking advantage of this like emotionally damaged man. I'm like, leave him alone. Like, he doesn't need a kiss. He needs therapy.
No, Dan did need a lot of kissing, I think. He needed to like just work on his mouth technique like 50. And I mean, like, look, I feel bad because I don't want him to, obviously he's going to tune in and hear this. And obviously, like, I don't want to give him some sort of like complex. It just like, it's more about me than it is about them. But it did take me out of the story.
I get
but
it.
besides that, A+ actor.
Mm-hmm. He's so good. He's in one called The Eclipse, and I might be kicked out of like the BL world saying this, but it was one of my least favorite dramas of the year, and it was like everybody else's like top drama, The Eclipse, and it has First and the actor who plays Yok and his new acting partner whose name I can't remember. They're the male leads, and people just went gaga for it, so you can watch him kiss this other guy and see if he's getting better at it. I don't know. Like, I blocked it from my memory. I did not like that one.
While we're talking, I may pull up a quick kiss scene and just look, because if in fact he does listen, I need him to know if it was just like me having a moment. So Megan, come up with a question while I look and see The Eclipse kissing, so I can see if this is like a pattern or not.
I won't come up with a question, but I will say something, and maybe it's relevant, maybe not. But there was something that Sean said in the hospital scene. So we're just like spoiling things. So sorry, people, there's a hospital scene. But he said, his character says, someone who always goes with the flow can hardly go against the current. I'm like, this has stuck with me for days. Days. And I'm just because of all of like the bills that are being passed right now in my state are being up and voted on. It's just that idea of going with the flow versus like speaking out for what you believe in has been playing on my mind pretty heavily. And one thing that we didn't talk about is often, or Black and White's mom is a judge in Thailand, so she also has a lot of power in the system, where his dad, you know, sort of, he also has power but has been a diplomat in Russia. So they come from a lot of power, not only financially, but like there's a point where she's like, no, this life is fine because it's comfortable. And I just thought that was an interesting idea. And then Sean's character is saying, yeah, you can do that and be comfortable, but you know, understanding that it's hard then to stand up for what you believe if you're going with the flow.
I love that line. I did. I actually paused it and like thought about it for a minute. Sometimes if like an actor says something, I'll like watch the scene a couple times and then I'll pause it just because I want to think about it. And that was one of the scenes where I sat and I had to think about it and like kind of internalized it.
Yeah. I love
it was
Off.
good.
It's great.
It was great. I loved Off. I will say I fell, and then I looked up his age and I was even more excited. I was like, oh,
32.
He's like 8 years younger than me. Come on, that's not bad.
Yeah.
And I just, and maybe that's why too, like they're a little bit more mature actors. And so the depth of emotions that they needed for this role, they like have the capacity to do that because they're like more experienced actors. I mean, when you throw like a 21-year-old in a role, you know, a lot of times they don't always have, they don't, I mean, sometimes they do,
unless they're Dylan Wong.
But yeah, they don't always have, but so I think that's another thing too. Just the depth of acting in Not Me was really, really good.
Okay, so I just want to just say nobody cared or asked for it, but I went back on mute and watched. And the BL, Yok, and Dan first kiss on YouTube held true to me. I will still it's an urchin devouring sea stars under the sea. But I went to Eclipse. That part does not exist.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So that is not a universal issue.
So who told him to kiss like that? Let's blame the director. Who told him to kiss like that?
Somebody gave bad stage direction, or just their chemistry was not good. There was something there that caused him to kiss like a digesting sea urchin that is not present in his other drama, where he's kissing completely like an attractive man should kiss. So if you were feeling bad, actor, don't feel so bad anymore.
First, you're okay. Keep kissing.
Yeah, keep kissing. It's fine. You've got the skill.
He just had a bad day on set that day, I guess.
Okay, so last question I guess I had for the two of you were your thoughts on this the fact that twins can feel each other's every feeling when they're in crisis or when they're having sexy times. And also my question is, presumably neither of them were virgins. So like had every time like Black been with Eugene, White was just going about life in Russia. And then all of a sudden it was like the jizz in my pants video where he's like, oh my God. It's like,
no, because the White's character says that he didn't know he could feel that way about somebody other than his brother, like that he could open his heart. So you have to have an open heart apparently in order to have those like feelings like happen. Maybe.
Yeah, it's kind of like Frozen or whatever when like, you know, an open heart does, you know, melts ice or whatever.
Yeah. Never seen Frozen, but we'll go with that.
I mean, I loved that part. Like I absolutely love I do like twin stuff. I'm not a twin, so I'm like so interested, and I really loved that whole thing where they could like feel each other's pain. Yeah, I just thought that was like a really cool it made, honestly, that was another plot line in this that I was like, I want to write this now in a future book. Like I want to have like a character who can like feel their twins, you know, whatever. I was very inspired by that as well. Actually, I have a book coming out like next year with twins, so prepare for that because
feel each other sexy times.
No. did they actually feel the sexy time, or did they feel the emotions attached to the sexy time?
I think they felt the quote emotions.
Oh, like I don't think they actually felt like the physical like release. I think they felt like the emotions attached. The like, because I think when White was like having sex with Sean, it was like more emotional than he'd ever been, because it was like special. And so Black, isn't that when Black started like crying in this coma?
Like, why am I having happy? Like, why am I having feelings? Because I'm such a broody. So
and he did say that he's like, why do I look at you favorably now? And he's all pissed about it. Black is such a little
on, and I can't hate you. Like I want to hate you.
I loved it. I loved Black because he's so little and he's like fighting 300-pound men who are carrying machine guns, and he's just like kicking the shit out of them. And I'm like, it's so ridiculous, and I loved it. I loved every minute of it. I was like, yeah, you punch that guy whose head is literally twice the size of yours. Like, I loved it.
There was so much swag in Black.
You knew it was like in Love Between Fairy and Devil, when like you knew when the body swap had happened. It was like the same way. Like you knew who it was based on like how they were walking and like their facial expressions.
Yeah, great acting.
Don't you think?
Yeah, great acting, Gunn. Amazing acting.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, like when it was over, I was like sad that he wouldn't have his twin. I was like sad about it. I was like, oh, in real life, he doesn't have one. And that's like his friend. I was like so sad. I don't know why.
You were sad Gunn didn't have a twin?
Yes, I was like sad that in real life, Gunn didn't have a twin.
No, Black and White both live inside Gunn, so there's just a party going on in there.
I know. I don't know what my problem is. I just really liked it. I really liked it. The emotion in this drama, and the acting was one of the best in a Thai BL that I've seen. I loved it.
And has one of my favorite scenes of all time when they meet under the pride flag and they fall in love.
Oh, I love that scene.
It's the best scene.
And the way they touch the eyes like across, and like then they meet under. Oh my god, I love it.
And White's so happy, and Sean actually smiles. Oh, I fucking love it. You're right. That was so good.
And they hold hands, and White just dances around him.
Yes. And it's like, so and again, they're promoting like marriage equality. They have this like runway that's like LGBTQ plus couples. It's lovely. It did feel, woke, as you would say.
Yeah.
I mean that in a bad way.
No, I mean that in a good way. I mean, it felt like progressive. Maybe we should say that instead.
Yeah. It's so good. I'm going to do a shameless plug for my new favorite GMM TV show right now.
Go.
It's not all out yet. It's still coming out. But The Warp Effect. So it has a hetero couple. It has a couple with a trans character. It has a lesbian couple. It has a non-binary character. It covers non-con sex. It covers abortion. It covers how to talk about your partner, or how to talk to your partner about different sex needs and desires. It's everything. It is so, so good. So go watch The Warp Effect. It's not all out right now, so you have to like wait patiently for a few more weeks, but it's so good. So good. Like staying up until 4:00 in the morning to watch it. Good.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, actually, can I just add one thing? I want to add that the first sex scene in Not Me was really, it's pretty tame, like overall, but I just want to say, like, full on cassette. Like they talked and communicated. Do you like this? Do you like this? Tell me if there's something you don't like. And they made it sexy. They made it so really sexy. And I loved that. So, I mean, that's one thing I've noticed a lot in some Thai BLs, especially when they're like student, not Kin Porsche. Kin Porsche is just like dubcon and all over the place. But they do safe sex. There's a lot of consent, and I like it.
Yeah, even their first kiss was consensual. Like the small little kiss, then checking, is that okay before?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that.
So good.
So good. Megan, what are you watching in Thai BL land?
Okay, so right before I signed on, I decided to watch Just Between Us, which is on Aichi, and I messaged Alison, and she's like, well, no, you got to watch
Until We Meet Again.
Until We Meet Again. You got to watch that one first. I was like, really? But I'm like very kind of like anal retentive like that. Like I got to watch the first one. So now I'm watching Until We Meet Again, and I am like it's my jam. It's my jam. Just the first 7 minutes, there's some trauma. So just FYI. But it's like basically Fated Mates, but contemporary. And I'm always going to watch. Like if you're like, Megan, this is kind of like Fated Mates, that's all I need.
And then to be clear, that drama then leads into Just Between Us?
Well, they actually run concurrently.
Okay.
But Alison said to watch, I trust Alison, and she said to watch Until We Meet Again first.
Okay.
So I'm watching that first. But they run concurrently because like they start almost at the same location. Same time. And that's why I was confused. And Alison said, yeah, but whatever.
Yeah.
So
you gotta get Dean and Farm storyline.
So it's Dean and Farm in Until We Meet Again, and that's on Viki. So I'm watching that on Viki.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Between Us.
Yeah, what are you watching, Leah?
I'm watching Why Are You?
I told you to.
Because you told me to, and so did the listener who wrote in like the big list of all the drama,
She
like
did.
IBL. So
It was on there.
Well, so
okay.
Yeah, and it was marketed as being quite steamy, which I've been kind of in like a hot or cold mood. Like I'm always fine not having like any steam to my dramas, but I have to say I haven't minded it lately at all. Not that I would ever mind it, but I've been like, oh, I just feel like I have been like in such like I think I've been out of kind of like explicit sexuality in my reading, in my books and everything. And like that it feels now interesting again if it's like connected to the plot. And like Megan, I've been appreciating a lot of the consent layers to it, or just things around that. And so so I was like, sure, sign me up for some steamy.
I mean, it's obviously nothing's Kin Porsche. Like I feel like that's the top of steaminess. But I was surprised for kind of like student age. It was pretty steamy. And
no shocking nut sacks with a hedgehog looking on.
No, definitely not that. But Z and Saint are the actors, and they have really good chemistry. They're really hot together. So enjoy.
Right, well, we will come back again, and I don't know which one we'll do next.
I don't know, but I just want to say thank you for letting me crash like the BL party here. Because I've liked them for a while, but I feel like now I'm kind of getting back into them. Now I feel like I have this like backlog of so many to watch, and it's very exciting, actually.
Yeah, there's so many good ones. Well, okay.
We'll talk more.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, Alison, I know you have a wish list, and we'll make your dreams come true.
Yeah, sure.
I have a whole PowerPoint of BL content for us. So
you're so cute.
All right. Well, on that note, then it's time to get back to watching. So, annyeong.
Annyeong.
Kamsahamnida. Thank you for listening to Afternoona Delight. Where can you find us outside the pod? Head on over to afternoonadelight.com. That's AFTERNOONADELIGHT.com. You'll find links to all our social media, our book recs, K-pop and K-skincare recs, and if you want even more Afternoona Delight, because really who doesn't, you can join our Patreon, where you can choose the patron level that's right for you. Join in daily K-drama conversations, listen to bonus podcast episodes just for patrons, and participate in our monthly live K-drama support group via Zoom. We can't wait for you to be a part of the community. Until next time, annyeong!